Hello, hello. My name is Topher, or Topher Cakes, and this is going to be my submission for Dead Space 2 Any Percent for Midwest Speedfest's Midspring Speedfling 2022. That is my favorite tongue twister. I'll be using the timer above my head, which uses in-game time, but I'll be displaying the RTA either in the title of the video or in the description for more accurate timing there. But yeah. Without further ado, let us get going. RTA takes out loading screens and pause screens so that the game can be more accessible for people with lower-end PCs. But yeah, beyond that, I'm going to be doing my best to explaining tricks as they happen. If there's a more complex trick, I might revisit it at a later time if I have more time later on, or if things are a bit busy as the trick is happening. And if there is some downtime, I will maybe start describing a trick a little bit before it happens. But yep, this is the direct sequel to the original Dead Space game, the events of which take place on a mining ship where we have these scary monsters known as necromorphs, which some could say are aliens, some are zombies, but I think, you know, reanimated corpses, you know, from an alien being, whatever it may be. You know, there were scary monsters on the ship in the first game, and Isaac went there to go visit to attempt to save his girlfriend and the crew. Things didn't go so well. Things were everywhere, and we escape at the end of the first game, and the events of this game take place 3 years later. Isaac doesn't really have a memory of the events between now and between that game and this game, but there will be many characters throughout the game that will try to explain what has gone on between now and then. So our first things first is that we find ourselves in a straitjacket in a hospital section on a space colony. And this guy's going to let us out of here, taking care of our first objective. Next objective is going to be get off this little space station. Is to get out of here. Let's see, what else? I suppose for character purposes, we're going to be seeing visions of a scary-looking blonde lady, which is our ex-girlfriend from the first game, who was dead the whole entire time. But the alien artifact known as the marker kind of imprinted some signals in our brain and is going to be trying to influence us using visions of her. But she is not real. Only Isaac can see her, and Isaac is going a bit crazy at this point. The marker actually put some stuff in our brain, which taught us how to make markers, and we have been being used for the past 3 years to make one of those artifacts, which start the necromorph outbreaks. And as you can see, obviously, we have one starting right now on this space colony, and it's kind of our fault. All right. So we have a little flashlight now. We don't have any weapons. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go get Kinesis, which is a cool little power used in the Dead Space games where we can pick things up and throw them. In the first game, they were mostly used for puzzles, but it was immensely buffed in this game, where we can actually pick up the little slashers. Oops, missed the second table there. We can actually pick up the little slashers appendages off of some necromorphs and throw them back at living ones to do quite a bit of damage. So I pulled up a tutorial right here for the med kit that we just got, and that can be used to interrupt certain cutscenes. You saw it right there where I started it up and activated it right when we got that cutscene there of Isaac seeing some shadows. We're going to be using it once more in a few seconds. Once we get through the rest of this vent, we're going to fall down, and we'll actually be able to skip a little cutscene of Isaac getting up, run forward a little bit, hit a checkpoint, and then do a checkpoint restart, which will save us a little bit of time. For any event purposes, things like this, like little checkpoints that, you know, save time in the in-game time, but not in RTA, things like that will be skipped. I'll try my best to remember which ones have actual gameplay value and which ones are just for IGT versus RTA. But right now we're getting our little Kinesis module, and we're going to use the little spikes on the ground to throw out the window and make our way out of here. And we're actually going to be moving on to one of the bigger skips in the game, more specifically called Stasis Skip. And Stasis Skip makes use of a more widely known trick in the game known as deloads, which I can simply state is called manipulating the game to unload certain things and let us get to places where we shouldn't be able to get to. So first things first, we are going to push this necromorph into this next room here. He's not supposed to be in here. We're going to let the door close behind us, and now the necromorph cannot get back to where he needs to be. This necromorph is called Steve. His AI is freaking out a little bit, but in a moment he's going to calm down. And once he calms down, he's gonna stop moving, and we're gonna push him into the doorway to hold it open for us. So he's holding that door open. We're gonna move into the next room here and get the plasma cutter, our first gun of the game. And usually in a more casual playthrough, you're supposed to get this plasma cutter, and that door back there is supposed to lock behind you. However, because we have him holding open that door, we can get back into that area, which can manipulate some objects in the game being loaded and unloaded. So we're going to run back there quickly and kill him to close the door on the other side. And we're going to see something a bit strange. The hallway that I'm about to run into, get a good look at it, because we are about to lose sight of it. And now it is all black back here. So the collision is still loaded in, but we can still run through the hallway. And we're going to close the door on this side. And what this ultimately does is the elevator door that we came through to get into the room originally, the door is not going to be there, and we can run into the elevator shaft. And if we do a very specific lineup, we can run off the collision. Excuse me one moment. We could run off of the collision here. And if I spam the interact button by spinning my mouse wheel, we're actually able to hit this door much later in the chapter. And then by running through it, open up the door, we are now at the end of chapter 1. So we skip so many things by doing that trick. We skip getting stasis in the first chapter. We skip a quarantine fight. We skip a few fights, actually, but like I said, we save several minutes by doing this trick. We'll see more deloads as the game goes on, but the main thing that you saw when I ran into the elevator shaft is that I lined things up very specifically, ran off, and then by spamming interact, we're actually able to interact with the door that I ended up opening up, and then by interacting and quickly pausing, we are able to get the area to load in around us as we are paused, and then we can go back into the level as normal. So that was a very good stasis skip. And now we are on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is relatively short. We will get to see a little trick known as Pot Boost, but this is the chapter that has the subway sequence in the game, which is one of the more iconic sequences from Dead Space 2. But in short, just know that deloads are the player's way, the runner's way of manipulating what is loaded in around us, most typically used by opening and closing doors, and putting the player into an area that the game doesn't expect you to be in. So if I open up door A and then door B, but before door A is done closing, I run all the way through it, the game doesn't expect us to be in there, because they only keep some things loaded in at any given time. So right now I'm going to run backwards, and I'm going to get up on a little piece of collision here. And by running backwards, I am able to run over this ledge here and jump all the way down, which ordinarily we'd have to take some elevators and go through some fights. We hit a checkpoint right there, not anything that we could see, but if we hit the checkpoint and then do a checkpoint restart, the game places us in here as though we hit this checkpoint normally. And this is is a bit of a big fight in Chapter 2, but we have to run over to the end of the room here, hit a checkpoint, which will load in some enemies at the beginning of the room. Now, these are called exploders, obviously for a good reason. We gotta pick up a few things. By picking up this one, you can actually kill that one in the vent before you can come out there. So that was a really good fight there. We are now at the end of Chapter 2, or close to it, rather. And we are running over to the subway sequence. Now, ordinarily, that's a new necromorph right there. That is the one that reanimates dead corpses into necromorphs themselves. But if we're actually able to look into the subway and kill it before we can do that, we can skip that whole entire sequence of watching him, or watching it do that. And these are little hack panels. They're very simple. Just find the little blue and continue on. We'll be seeing them throughout the game. There isn't much to it. But we get those going to open up doors, get things running. In this case, we got the subway running. We're going to get 2 more, and we can continue on now. As far as glitches go, there aren't that many, I believe, in this area. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we got going on. But we're just going to make our way to the front of the subway system here, and then there will be a little sequence in which the subway crashes. Oh, and obviously, if you haven't noticed at this point, one of the other things that we skipped with the Stasis Skip is having to get the engineering suit, which one gives us infinite air, because when the developers programmed it, they didn't give a specified amount of air that the patient suit had, because they never really expected the player to be in any area in any vacuum with the patient suit. So we go get infinite air with that one. But also, one of the bigger things, which I completely forgot to say, is that in the room where we get the plasma cutter, we actually have infinite ammo for the entirety of that room. And there's a trigger at the end of that room with the plasma cutter that takes away our infinite ammo. You need to pick up the plasma cutter normally to kill a necromorph tied to a gurney, and then you continue onwards. However, we never killed that necromorph because we ran backwards into that room prior where the elevator was. So because we never hit that trigger, the game never takes away our infinite ammo. And we get infinite ammo for the entirety of the run for all weapons. So there isn't a whole lot of combat to this game, but the run... I should probably reload. But it makes it much easier being able to play through the game with infinite ammo, because now we get to go sell it all off to buy guns and things later. That was a pretty alright sequence for Chapter 2 there. And with that, we are at the end of Chapter 2. For reference, there are 15 chapters in this game, but many of them kind of blend together. I believe we'd skip over Chapter 14 entirely. And Chapters 4 and 5 go together, 8 and 9 go together, and so on. We're actually having a very good run today. A very good one for a submission video. So with this, we are introduced to a new enemy of the game known as the Pack. These are necromorph children, I suppose. And on their own, they are very easy. They die in one shot. But they can easily overwhelm you. And we just gotta clear out this room as quickly as we can. And then we will wait for a little cutscene in which Strauss will give us a call. Now, we'll be seeing a lot more of Strauss in the game, but he was another patient at the beginning of the game in the hospital section. And this section, the call is kind of on rails, so we're not going to lose any time. This elevator coming up right here, you know, we can get in here whenever we want to. But he's going to talk to us for a while, and this elevated door will not open until he's done talking. So, easy. We get some time to go to the store, buy 2 new guns. We get the Javelin Gun, and we get the Line Gun. The Javelin Gun is a new weapon to this game. Fires little bolts, I imagine, and can very easily kill necromorphs in about 1 hit, I believe, depending on where you hit them. But the Line Gun, it has an alternate fire where it can put mines down, and we'll be using that throughout the run. It is a very utilized tool that will be used for blasting ourselves and blasting other items. So we'll be keeping that for the entirety of the run. Javelin Gun, unfortunately, we're not going to use much. It's only going to be used for, I believe, 1 or 2 fights. But yeah, this is Chapter 3. There is going to be one or 2 tricks in this one. And we're about to see the first one, which is going to be the garbage area skip, or garbage can skip. And it will be making use of a trick known as save station clipping. And I will explain that once we get there in a few moments. But in the essence, the community agreed that the community, speedrunning community, decided that it would be okay to use external tools to limit the FPS for Dead Space 2. And by doing that, we can actually pull off some very fun tricks. One coming up right now with the save station clip, we will actually be able to fall forwards through it into the zero gravity area. So this section, we're supposed to go hit a button here, fly in zero gravity, etc., etc. But by turning down the FPS to 5, as I'm doing now, we can fall forwards. We can fall forwards into the zero gravity area while being out of bounds, and we can fly over the entire puzzle, hit a checkpoint trigger right at that door, and then do a checkpoint restart and be past the puzzle entirely. So, a lot of stuff going on right there. I apologize if it was a bit hectic on screen, but just know that we are past the zero gravity puzzle, and we are moving onwards. There will be a few tricks like that in the run, but they can be a bit finicky. We're able to turn down the FPS to 5 and then alternating between aiming and interacting in a very specific rhythm. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but just know that the game doesn't really know what to do at very low FPS, and we just fall through it. Moving up here, we get to see Nicole, our dead girlfriend from the first game, and she's coming to haunt us. But we don't have to listen to her because we know that she's actually dead. Coming up, we actually do get one more of the deloads that I had mentioned previously. For this one, it's a bit fun. There's an elevator coming up that is going to be going down to the first floor on our right, but we can actually hit the button of the elevator through the wall on the side. And if we hit the button, that tells the game, hey, we're not on this floor anymore. You can deload the areas up here. And then we can hit a checkpoint there and restart, and we are down on the floor. Skip the entire elevator ride. Oh, I did not see him. Oh no. That was bad. Well, there was an exploder that must have spawned behind me. I did not see him at all. I apologize for that. Game was freaking out a little bit. And I'll be using this. Did I kill everybody? I have one more. Alright. So we kill all the enemies in there, and we can continue on. Apologize for the time lost there. I should have just turned around. But with that, that takes care of Chapter 3, and we can move onwards to Chapter 4. So Chapters 4 and 5 are tied together with a very fun trick, aptly named Chapter 4-5 Skip. And we'll be seeing that in a moment. We just have to get through this room here quickly. We actually do get to do something fun. Oh. That was bad. We actually get to pull off a really fun trick here. So in Chapter 4, there's a bit of backtracking in a casual playthrough, and the game puts fuses on the sides of doors that you get to later, so that you can activate them later. And if we actually aim and hit one of those mines through the door... sorry, I'm getting the timing a little bit off here. Okay, there we go. We can actually place the mine on the other side of the door, hit the fuse, and then that opens up for us to get through afterwards. So with this trick here, it might be a bit dark, but we are flipping over a table, walking on top of a candle, and then falling off of the candle onto the table. It's one of the trickier things in the game. And if we get on top of the table, the game's physics won't know how to handle it, and it'll allow us to fall through the ground and allow us to continue on and move, and hopefully, in a moment... This is a two-parted trick. Step 1 is getting out of bounds with this table. One of the harder tricks. So we fall through the ground right here. This should work. It is not working. Lock on the candle. There we go. We can fall through the ground here. And we can run up onto this piece of collision and on top of this floor. And chapters 4 and 5 are like hugging each other. I think right below us is chapter 5 right now. So if we are able to run over to this area right here and get right on the edge, we can line things up and do another one of those. They're called door dives, but we can interact with this door, and we can move onwards. And now we are mostly at the end of chapter 5 here. We just have one more fight. Oh shoot! I have to reload. This was bad. I didn't know I had no ammo. Here, let me Oh my goodness. I apologize. I had no ammo in the gun. There we go. And then we can do a checkpoint restart right there, and that will skip that enemy kind of running away. So we can actually take care of this room fairly quickly if we kill them in a very specific order. And I think we should have one more down here. 2 more. 3 more? There we go. And now we can move onwards right there. So all we have right now is an elevator ride to the top of the church, where we're going to meet up with Dana, the character that we were talking to throughout the game. The person who said she's been trying to help us out. So we're going to head up there, and we're going to go talk to her. And she's going to help us get out of here. Once again, we are being visited by visions of our dead girlfriend. She's very upset that we weren't able to save her. And once again, it's not actually her. It's the alien artifact pretending to be her to make us feel bad.
Dana, you still with me? I've reached the top of the church.
All right. So it wasn't the cleanest chapter 4. Messed up that fight there. I didn't know I had no bullets in the gun there. But I'm checking right now, and all of my guns are topped off. Unfortunately, having infinite ammo does not mean you don't have to reload the guns. And right here, we are going to pick up a schematic for a detonator gun, or a gun called the Detonator Gun. And that's going to be very helpful for us for the next few chapters. And now we are learning that Dana, the person claiming to be helpful the whole entire game, is actually evil.
Well, you didn't have a choice, Isaac.
The alien artifact I talked about, known as the Marker, well, turns out there's a church surrounding them, and it's very well known, and she is a member of them. And she knows that we know how to build these alien artifacts, so she is planning on using us to build those.
You did build it.
And Isaac doesn't want any of that. He just wants to be left alone.
That's why we brought you here. To build markers for us. To spread glorious convergence to the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
You people are unbelievable.
She's crazy.
Give me the fucking cure and let me go.
No, we don't
So,
want to cure you, Isaac.
once again, the alien artifact causes these necromorphs to be a thing, and we do not want that. We want to be left by ourselves. We don't want necromorphs. Necromorphs are bad. Hopefully that's clear to the average player of the game. But guess what? Plot twist. The director of this colony that we're on, Director Tiedemann, he doesn't want us to survive. So he's trying to kill us right now. And unfortunately, after shooting the first 2 or 3 guys in this room, 2 or 3 peeps, they lose all of their aiming ability and cannot hit us for anything. So after all that time and being unable to hit us, excuse me, I cannot talk, we fall down here and we get to meet the Tormentor. A fun little boss fight. It's actually a 2-parter. First part, just have to shoot the little yellow spots on the arm. Pretty straightforward. And the second part of the fight is actually when we go and get launched into space by that gunship we just saw. And the gunship has some explosive tanks on the side. And in that second part, if you shoot one of those tanks, you get thrown back inside, you get blasted back in, and the fight is over. However, the developers did not anticipate us shooting at those tanks before we actually get launched into space. So if we line things up very specifically right here, that may have been a bit too early. Actually, that worked. We're able to shoot the tank there and trigger the cutscene to bring us back into the game to start Chapter 6. So, tons of fun. One of my favorite tricks to describe, because I believe this trick was found basically by somebody asking, like, what if we tried this? And sure enough, it worked. If you're able to time that shot in a very specific spot, we can hit that and move forwards. All right, guns are all reloaded. We have to listen to Strauss talk to us for a bit more. But at this point, we actually get to do one more of those elevator skips, where we hit the button on the elevator from outside and move forwards. And this one saves us a lot more time, because this whole entire time that we are on the elevator, we're supposed to be listening to Strauss there talk to us. But if we're actually able to do this skip, we can avoid having to wait in the elevator that entire time. Now, this one is going to look a little bit different. Instead of hitting a checkpoint, I'm actually going to try and get back in bounds. And turning on VSync helps it with the time that it takes for everything to load in. All right, so we are able to land back in bounds after that one, and we can turn VSync back off. And the game can continue onwards. So as long as Strauss is talking to us, remember, that's when we were supposed to be in the elevator just listening to him talk to us. So using this time, we're able to go into here, access the store, and unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to the Javelin Gun, and we get to replace it with the Detonator Gun. Oops. Is there anybody else? There we go. And now we get to sit here until the door opens. We're not losing any time. the door would open for us. And with this, we can continue onwards into Chapter 6. This is a bit of one of the longer chapters in the game. There's a few cutscenes because we get introduced to a new character, Ellie. Many people might know her. She's going to be our best friend for this game, and she's going to be also in Dead Space 3. Spoiler alert. But with a new character, we got to talk to her a little bit. Quite a bit of dialogue as well with Director Tiedemann. Oh, excuse me. Gotta get that elevator in that right in there and move onwards. All right. So that gun we just bought called the Detonator Gun, it places little mines on the ground with trip lasers, I imagine, kind of sticking out the top. And we get to use those in the next room to keep us safe. One of the new enemies in this game are known as Stalkers, and as their name suggests, they hide behind walls, kind of out of plain view of Isaac, and when our back is turned, they will try to charge us. However, that might take a long time, and in this room coming up, there's actually going to be a hack panel at the back of the room, and if you try and go straight for it, they will charge at you, and you will not be able to get the hack panel done in time. But using these, we can actually set up a tripwire on a very specific spot, and that will keep us safe as we get the hack panel done. We can see one of the Stalkers right now, but they have very terrible aim, so that spot should work. I may have put it a bit too close to the box, but we will see in a moment. You gotta charge in a moment. Okay, cool. The explosion sound means that they hit that, and we can move onwards. So skip that room pretty much entirely. And after this room, after we talk to Strauss for a bit longer, we get to go meet Ellie.
I don't understand.
Oh God, he's back. No.
All right. So a bit more about the characters. Like I said before, Dana, she was part of the church, and she was hoping to use us to build those alien artifacts for us. Tiedemann, Director Tiedemann, which we will see a bit more of in this chapter, he's aware of all of it, and he's the director, and he knows that if we escape this colony, we kind of have all the secrets on what was going on, and he's going to get in trouble. So he's trying to kill Isaac and Strauss.
You got that right.
Ellie is just another... Ellie's a survivor on the colony, and we're going to try to escape with her. But not right now. Right now, Ellie's basically saying, hey, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. People are alive. I should just let them talk.
Ellie.
But he doesn't like us right now.
Isaac.
I'm trying to get to the transport hub. I need to get to the government sector.
What do you think we were trying to do?
Hey, I can help you. Besides, we got a better chance if we stick together. Don't you agree?
It's not a chance, Isaac.
Yeah.
Other people are just a liability.
Ellie's gonna lone wolf her way out of this terrible situation.
And please, don't follow me.
So the upcoming section is the school section,
Wait.
and we're gonna be doing another one of those deloads. And one of the things about deloads, we saw it at the beginning of Chapter 1 with Stasis Skip. We can use it to hit checkpoints way later on. But another thing about deloads is that many times they take away the collision on doors. Don't hit me. Oh, no. They take away the collision on doors, and we can run straight through doors that would otherwise be locked. So we're going to be taking advantage of a deload to run through... about the second half of the school section. First, we have to get through this room very carefully. Ooh. That room without stasis can be very, very difficult. So we force that door to open again by running at it, and if we open this door up, everything behind it is deloaded. So you see that locked sign right in the middle on the door? It's unlocked now, but we don't have to open the door. We can run straight through it. We are now in the middle of the gym, and we can run straight through the door on the far side and down this hallway. And if we spam the interact, we can open up the door right here, which will load in the area. Like I said previously, opening and closing doors is the game's way of saying, of loading things in. When we open doors, we tell the game, hey, here's where we are at. Here's what you should load in. And we can pretty easily manipulate it in many areas of the game into getting into areas that the game doesn't... I mean, the game doesn't think we are in. So if we're ever in an area where everything is black like that and deloaded, the game doesn't think we should be there based on some manipulation that we had done previously. And with this, we're going to start an elevator ride, and I'm going to go to the bathroom really quickly and be right back.
Isaac and Ellie, I found someone. Another survivor. He says he knows you. I said stand still.
Ellie, take it easy. His name is Strauss. I know him.
He looks twitchy. I don't trust him. Don't move.
Ellie, I need him to be not dead. I need him.
Shit. Okay, Isaac. I'll march him to the hub, but if he does anything stupid, anything, I will shoot him.
All right. And we just had that fun conversation there. This chapter does have quite a bit of talking in it, but we have a little bit more right here. So with the dialogue there, we have Ellie who's going to bring Strauss over to us, and they're chilling up there.
Up here. Come on, move.
So a bit more talking. Everything's going well. We're at the transport hub, and we can get out of here.
Managed to escape the CEC facility this morning.
I'm just going to use this time to pick up some little things around.
Heavy equipment pilot
Save some
lost.
time. Sell these things later for some money.
Nerd. Figures.
Unfortunately, Director Tiedemann has other plans for us.
You guys all right up there?
I think life support's out too.
So life support's out, power's out. We're at a low right now.
Our two remaining runners.
It's a bad time to be Isaac.
I knew it was only a matter of time before you reached the transit hub. You would find the train inoperable.
Are you insane? You cut off power to life support. There may be other
Something fun that you can see is that Isaac's mouth is not moving, even as he's saying these things. I'll try and put him not in the splits area.
Goodbye, Clark.
But the game devs never intended for you to be in this area. They didn't program Isaac's mouth moving. And with putting a mine right there, at a very specific time, this brute will jump down on top of it and it'll blow up, killing him in one shot. So that'll save us a time on a fight right there.
I think that's all of them. For now.
All right.
Why did Tiedemann turn off the
So a bit more talking right here.
What did you do to piss him off?
But this is pretty much the end of the chapter.
You know what a marker is?
Yeah. The unitologist on my crew wouldn't shut up about it. Why is it real?
Yeah, it's real. Tiedemann made one using codes, patterns stored in our heads, mine and Strauss. Everything that's happening on this station is happening because of that marker. I have to get to it.
I suppose I can use this time to kind of explain the trick that I'm going to be doing in the next chapter. Chapter 7 is going, in a casual playthrough, is Isaac fixing an elevator, taking the elevator to the top, going through some stuff right there, realigning some solar arrays, and then taking the rocket chair all the way back. But we're going to be doing a bit of a different trick. And I suppose the best way I should explain it is that if you are ever playing this game and you're in a zero gravity area, typically the game developers made an even bigger zero gravity box surrounding that room. So if you can get out of bounds in a zero gravity area, typically you will still be in zero gravity even if you are not in that room. And I will demonstrate that at the beginning of the next chapter. All right. So we're at chapter 7 now. We're gonna run down here. That was a gold split? Amazing. By a whole second. All right, so this is the elevator shaft right there. Elevator is not in place, and we're supposed to run over here and fix that by getting the elevator in place. But if we actually run over to this corner right here, we can actually wiggle Isaac's character model just like that. And we can actually fly out of bounds. See, we are still in a zero gravity area. And we are aiming to the top of the elevator shaft right now. We just passed through the collision of the elevator shaft. And we're going to fly to the top of the zero gravity box. So if you imagine this, we're at the top. We're going to fly to the top area. And Isaac's going to flip around right when he reaches the top. And we are now looking down the elevator shaft. And if we line things up very specifically, where everything is vertical. So I just want to make sure this is just right. We can fly backwards. The game will reorient us. So now we are facing sideways. And we're going to fly forwards and fly out the side of the zero gravity box. And in a few seconds, we're going to hit a checkpoint. Fingers crossed, we're going to hit the checkpoint. And if we do the checkpoint restart, we will be at the section of the game right at the bottom of the rocket chair section. And with that, we did hit the checkpoint. So we skipped the entire section of taking the elevator ride up, doing the puzzles up there, realigning the solar arrays, and now we're at the bottom. So we skipped quite a big section of the game. That is a very difficult trick, but we got that going. And I suppose one more thing that I should explain is that we walked into that room just far enough to hit a trigger to get this whole entire sequence going. But if we run back, we can actually get in here before the door closes. And we can spend all this time at the store, not having to worry about things, because there's basically a fight timer going on out there. And we don't actually have to fight anybody. So all this time, we just gotta, you know, chill out a little bit, hang out. Do I need the detonator gun? Do I need it? I do not. So I sell the detonator gun, and I buy the flamethrower, and that's going to be useful for us in a little bit. And I'm going to buy up a lot of these small med kits. That should be enough. So we hang out here for a little bit. You can see the little claws of the horde right back there trying to get through to us. And we're going to be using a very specific timing cue from Ellie talking to us to know when to open the door. So I think the next thing she says, it's going to be 10 seconds after that. All right. So about 40:59, we're going to open the door, and we're going to run to a door that she's going to unlock right as we get over there. 58, 58. All right. So we take care of them, run through. And it should be noted that doing that trick where we run back into that room, it doesn't save any time, but it saves us from having to fight all the necromorphs out there, and it gives us time to access the stores. So we get to do that. And as of right now, we just gotta talk to Ellie, and that will be the end of chapter 7. But yeah, the concept of flying to the top of the zero gravity box and then flying out the side to hit a checkpoint, it's one of the more difficult tricks. But after that, that is the end of chapter 7. Excuse me. And just with earlier in the run, we had chapters 4 and 5 kind of together. Chapters 8 and 9, chapter 8 being the next one up. Chapters 8 and 9 will also be treated as a singular chapter. Due to a fun skip that we get to do there. So I'll be explaining that as we get there, but we'll be using one of those line gun mines from earlier to blast us into a very specific area. All right. I think that should have been a pretty good chapter 7. Gold split there, very fun. All right. there's not going to be a whole lot to this section. We will be doing a deload and running through a bit more darkness. But like I said, I'll do my best to explain that as we get there. That'll actually be in one moment. Alright. So a few rooms. We get to try and run past these necromorphs here. And right here, if we open this door, open this one, and then run back before this one closes, we can wait for that door to close. We can run backwards, and then this door will close. And then we can run through those two doors. And then open this door from that side. We can load in some things over here. There's very little to go off of for these tricks. We will also be turning our aiming to the classic aiming to help better line things up. This is just a very specific lineup to place the bomb at. So placing that bomb at our feet, and that is going to launch us through this doorway. And on the other side of the doorway, there is no collision. So we're going to fall through the ground, turn VSync on, which changes the rate at which things load in. And we're going to fall through here for a little bit. And land on this piece of collision. Turn VSync back off so that we can speed things back up. Oh, I suppose I should say we turned VSync on to limit the game's FPS to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To limit the game's FPS to 30. So just as we use FPS tricks in other places, we turned VSync on to hit 30 right there. And just right there, we landed on a piece of collision, walked backwards, and hit a checkpoint there. That's why Isaac took his phone out, his little cellular device. And we are now at the end of Chapter 9. This is the last room of Chapter 9. We just have to explode these tanks. And we can run on the edge of that elevator right there to fall off of it. Did I miss one? Okay, I did not. And with that, we are at the end of Chapter 9. Just a few more cutscenes to get through this. And if I did do the trick right, we should see a very fun visual bug in just a moment. I did do it correctly. So, as you will see right here, there are two character models for both Strauss and Ellie on the tram here. And that's because I missed a trigger at the bottom of that elevator to get down to that main room, which would have despawned one of their character models. So now we get two of each. Because I jumped off to the side, we missed a trigger, and here we are.
In another situation, I might admire your persistence, Mr. Clark. But this is bigger than you and bigger than the lives of everyone on this station.
Sir, final preparations for attack are wrapping up.
Looks like it ends here.
So we're on the tram right now, and Tiedemann is about to cut the cord. He's going to cut the tram rail and prevent us from getting over there. It's bad news.
We gotta stop the transport now.
One of the more iconic parts of the game is us getting to go onto the Ishimura. And that is Chapter 10, so we're about to get there. However, we get to skip some fun parts of that. The first half of it, we actually get to skip with a very large trick. And once I get there, I'll explain it a bit more in detail, but it has a door dive, which it was basically somebody figuring out that the second half of the Ishimura section is right underneath the first part of it. So we'll hopefully be landing a very fun trick at which we get to do another door dive right on top of the medical deck, which takes care of the first half of the Ishimura completely. Just gotta take this nice little trolley over there, and we can get going. This trick is actually going to be a two-parter. Unfortunately, the first part does require us to turn down our FPS once more, as with the save station clip that we saw earlier. So we have this elevator right here. Takes us up to the Ishimura. Saved a little bit of time there. And in the interest of not wanting to mess things up, I'm going to run up here a little bit, which will get a checkpoint, so I can do a checkpoint restart if I'm to fail later on. All right, so the trick is that we get to the elevator that we were just on over here. If we line things up very specifically right there, and tap over, excuse me, and turn down the FPS to 19, we can fall off the side of the elevator onto this area out of bounds, and we can run back to the end of the, I suppose the little, what do you call it? What's the area called with the ships land on? I can't remember. But the game did not intend for us to be over here, so it's a very dark area. So again, I apologize that it's not super bright here. But we're going to run over to this pillar right here. And we're going to do a very specific lineup. We're going to walk right into the pillar. And... alright, that should be good enough. We can place a mine right there, line things up, and we can turn on VSync. And the reason for that is that your FPS determines the arc at which you fall. So we turned on our FPS to get a very specific arc. But then we want to turn off VSync. And we're going to do another one of the door dives. And I landed it right there. You see the door on the right side, which lets you know that you hit it. And now we are in a deloaded part of the game. We are in the medical deck right now. As you saw, we just walked through a locked door right there. Oops. Come on, Isaac. We open the door right there, as well as this door right here. Walk through a locked door again. Take out a battery for a puzzle in this room. And we open this door right here, which will load in. And we are out of the deloaded area. So we just skipped the first half of the Ishimura section. And by using a deload, we were able to walk through the doors of the second quarter, I imagine. So we only have a little bit more to go. We are making our way over to the flight deck of the Ishimura. And that will be the last section of this this chapter. It is a bit long. There are a few cutscenes at the end, so we're not out of the woods yet, but most of the hard parts are over. I will be attempting one more of the save station clips in a moment. This one is a bit more difficult because the textures of the save stations are different from the original Dead Space game, and they kept those textures. So please give me one moment to try and land them. All right, we want to turn the FPS down to 5. We fortunately messed up the lining. And we don't have much time because there are many enemies in this room. All right. I'm going to skip it right there. That one's a bit tricky to land, so I'm going to move onwards. But it would allow us to skip this elevator ride down here.
Captain's nest to activate the tethers.
All right. The centrifuge looks full to full power from here.
Great. Let's hope this works. It'll be tight. You ready?
We are going to do a fun little trick right here. By waiting for the door to close. Hopefully I can get this. Oh, wait. Sorry. We can actually run over this door before it closes all the way. And we can get on the other side of the door before it locks behind us. And that will allow us to better go for a trick right here. I possibly lost some time trying to go for it a second time, so I apologize. But we should be in that room over there. And if we can interact with this escape pod a bit early, we can actually skip a little sequence where Nicole is supposed to talk to us. So we skip that sequence, and unfortunately, that messes with the audio of the game. So we're going to be in this little escape pod, escaping the Ishimura in complete silence for, oh, I'm not sure, maybe 30, 40 seconds. But it's supposed to have all these cool sounds. It's supposed to be really action intense. So we're missing out a little bit right there. But it is fun nonetheless. The little Nicole dialogue cutscene skip, I think, only saves about 7 seconds. But she yells at us for a little bit. And if you can't tell from what's going on the screen, we are about to crash our pod here. Or the little escape pod's going to crash itself. I don't think we did anything wrong. We were just in the escape pod. Alright, and with that, we are at the end of Chapter 10. Chapter 11 it marks the beginning of a very fun skip known as Drill Skip. Drill Skip is probably the most, I think convoluted is a very good word to describe it, but a very convoluted skip that spans 3 chapters and saves about, oh, I'm not sure how much time it saves total. Maybe everything put together saves about 10 minutes, but I suppose I'll explain it as it's happening. I want to turn off my classic aim back to center aim. So on this one, we just have to clear out the enemies as quickly as possible. Oops. Alright, that was a pretty alright room right there. Just gotta clear them out as quickly as possible to unlock the door here. Alright. And with this, we can continue onwards. We do want to buy a new gun at a store in a moment. It's going to be the contact beam, and it's going to save us a lot of time for the final fight. So we're going to buy that now. Or possibly the next room, I believe. We aim while we walk on this little sludge here because otherwise it saves us some time on running. All right, we buy the contact beam and we continue onwards. Now with this room, this is a pretty big room, but all we have to do is put the battery in. And luckily, once we put the battery in, we can actually do a checkpoint restart, which fixes the oh, I shouldn't have done that. I got way too close to them. But when you do a checkpoint restart after putting the battery in, it resets the enemy AI and gives you some distance, basically. All right, body horror coming up in about 5 or 10 seconds. So look away if that's an issue. Should be able to look back in maybe, I'll say 10, 15 seconds. But so in Chapter 11, we are supposed to kill Strauss, and in doing so, well, I suppose I'm getting ahead of myself right here. So in a moment, we're about to get launched into a zero-gravity area. And like I said previously, every zero-gravity area has a bigger zero-gravity box surrounding it. So what we're able to do is we're actually able to do a skip right here to get out of bounds and hit a checkpoint way later on in Chapter 11. And one of the things that we skip doing is killing Strauss. Now, killing Strauss is actually the trigger to despawn the elevator room. Or, sorry, to despawn the zero-gravity box. So by skipping that, we're actually able to continue on the chapter with a zero-gravity box. And part of that zero gravity box extends into this massive elevator shaft that we're about to get into. And that will begin part 2 of Drill Skip. So we gotta wiggle a little bit to get over this ledge. So as you can see right now, Isaac is running a little bit strangely. And that is because we are in zero gravity. And I'm waiting a few seconds here. And we can take off and fly up the elevator shaft. Now, the zero gravity box does not extend all the way to the top of the elevator shaft. But what we can do is that we can walk up here and get onto this railing and start punching back and forth repeatedly. And the reason that we do this is because the game will not take us out of zero gravity while we are punching. So we're able to get through the top of the zero gravity box and remain sideways on this little, what do you call it? Railing, whatever it may be, until we stop punching. So we're going to keep punching while sideways. And the elevator is going to get to the top of the shaft, and we're going to hopefully do a bit of platforming while being sideways to get to a very specific spot. Now, I'll explain my best to explain the motivations of why we are doing all of this. But just know that step 1 was getting out of bounds in a zero gravity box and hitting a checkpoint that allows us to skip killing Strauss. And after that, we are able to get into the elevator shaft in zero gravity and get on the side of the elevator while punching repeatedly, get through the top of the zero gravity box while still sideways. And I believe we got about 30 seconds left of this platforming. But hopefully, I will be able to get this trick correct. If not, it's not going to lose us too much time. Actually, missing this trick on its own doesn't lose any time. But it just doesn't allow us to go for the next trick. All right, so we're at the top, and we're going to go with the top here, right? One moment, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. All right, so if we did that correctly, we should be on this little platform here, and we can run up this wall and onto here. So at this point, I'm just gonna be launching these canisters down here. We need to kill the necromorphs down there. All right, I just need to listen to see if I can hear any more. I think we got them all. And then we run across here quickly. We're going to get into this corner. And then run over here. So, a bit tricky stuff, but we had to kill those necromorphs so that we can unlock that door. And we hit the checkpoint for chapter 12 right there. And we can do a checkpoint restart to put us back into here. So, all of this to skip over that room that we were just in at the top of the elevator. And we're going to go back here. We're going to go back to the elevator room. And we're going to let the door close. And we are going to get back in. Now, ordinarily, when we open that door just then, a cutscene would start where Ellie's ghost would start yelling at us again. However, because we got to chapter 12 and then went back, the game said, you were in chapter 12, you probably already saw the cutscene, we're not going to play it. So we didn't get the cutscene there, but we do get the effects of being in a cutscene. When you're in a cutscene in this game, you are invincible. So we are invincible. Nothing can hurt us right now. However, we can get grabbed by enemies. But we want to have this invincibility for the trick that I'm about to attempt. So we're going to continue onwards with this chapter a bit normally. We just got to gather some things to get the drill started up. All right, I'm going to turn my FPS down to 5 and wiggle my way off of this gondola and fall through the ground there. And that will save us some time having to walk all the way back. So we're going to fix the drill right now. We're going to spin it around. And that part is pretty much normal. For those who haven't played the game, I suppose I should explain. The drill sequence is a bit of an auto-scroller. Yeah, you see this guy was trying to hurt me the whole time. He couldn't hurt me. And we're going to run up and try and get this piece of collision. So the drill sequence is a several-minute long thing where we just stand on top of the drill, fight some enemies, do a lot of fun stuff like that. And it takes a bit of time, and we don't have to deal with that. Or we don't want to deal with that, rather. So right now we're just waiting for the drill to spin around. And then we can continue on with the trick once we get to the top. It's almost done spinning around. Just making sure no enemies snipe me at the last second. Alright, so the drill's coming down. Whoops. And we're going to get on top of it. We're going to grab this piece of collision. Now we're going to turn on VSync, which will allow us to do a bit of clipping. And by doing it very specifically... Oh, excuse me. Oh! Almost fell off there. I do not want to fall off early. So we turn VSync back off. And we just want to look down and jump into this little pit here. So that we're off the drill now. The drill's going to continue on without us. We want to put our cursor in a very specific spot. And then start running into the wall right here. And because the game thinks that we're on the drill, it's going to deload the area of the mines that we are at. And we're going to fall down into that zero gravity box that never got despawned. Now, we wouldn't have survived that fall normally. If you fall for long enough, the game will typically tell you, it'll typically say, this person is falling for, a certain amount of time. They must have, run into some issue. Just kill the player and respawn them. But because we got that invincibility from that trick where we were punching up the shaft, the trick is called, because we have the invincibility, we were able to survive that fall and land in this zero gravity box. Now, as of right now, we are just going to be sitting in this box, this darkness, for a very, very specific amount of time. I have the white timer, the split timer right above me, and we're going to wait for that to get to 2 minutes, 28 seconds, and anywhere from 0.75 hundredths to 0.85 hundredths. And then we're going to start flying forwards. And all of this to fall out of the zero gravity and hit a checkpoint in chapter 13, so the next chapter, so we can skip the last section of the drill, because the drill would still take a bit of time there, but also skip the first section of chapter 13. So all of this to save us a lot of time there. Like I said, we have a bit more time to be sitting here. All of this was very, very convoluted, to say the least. So, in an attempt to make it sound really cool, get out of bounds in the zero gravity area, skip killing somebody, which despawns the zero gravity, use the zero gravity in an elevator shaft to platform my way to the top of the box. Let's see. 225. Platform the way to the top of the box. Skip a cutscene that would give me invincibility. Go back to, activate the cutscene and get invincibility. Get off the drill, fall into a zero gravity box, and then, with very specific timing, fly forwards and hopefully hit a checkpoint. So, 20 more seconds until I have to start flying forward, and if I'm able to hit this checkpoint, we will save several minutes on the run over not hitting the trick. But I feel pretty confident in how I lined up everything. I suppose we will see fairly soon if I can get the timing correct. All right, so 2:28 we want to pause at. All right, that should be good. That's right in the middle. And I'm going to start flying forward. And we're going to fly forward, and I believe the zero gravity box will finally despawn from around us in a few seconds. And then we will fall, and if we hit the checkpoint trigger, when we reload the game, we will be in the middle of chapter 13. But if we did not, we will land back on the drill, and possibly have to do the second half of that. But regardless, it's a big time save if we land it. All right, so we just had to fall for a little bit there. And if we landed it, we are back. We are in Chapter 13 now. So we skipped the drill. We skipped the first part of Chapter 13, and we can continue on the game as normal. And I forgot to split. I apologize. Actually, very quickly, I'm going to split, undo, skip. Apologies for that. Now we're on to Chapter 13. And like I said, there are 15 chapters in the game, but we completely skip over Chapter 14 and move on to the end of Chapter 15. So a lot of skipping is going to be going on in a moment. Don't grab me. I shouldn't have reloaded there. Shoot. All right. We get one more Stalker room to take care of, and then we will move on to a fun laser room. But in that laser room, we are able to do another deload. It'll be the last deload of the run. So if you are not a fan of them... Oh, come on. If you're not a fan of them, this will be the last one. But I do think it's about the biggest one. But it will save us some time. Alright, so we're in the laser room. Just gotta run around this way, dodge the lasers, dodge the necromorphs. Thankfully, that one died right there to the laser, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get to the top of this room, and we're going to use another necromorph to hold the door open for us. I'm gonna hit that really quickly. By holding the door open for us, we're able to get into an area of the game where everything will be deloaded. I suppose I shouldn't get ahead of myself. We will see if I can land this trick. All right. So we're going to run over into this area and get a necromorph to spawn. He's going to jump down from the vent. Thankfully, we got it. Oh. We're going to knock its leg off there. Open this door, stand for a moment, and run back. And thankfully, he was holding the door open, and now that will all be deloaded for us. So with this, we're able to run through. We don't have to worry about any doors. Thought I had it right. We're going to use our locator to help us out a little bit if we need it, but for the most part, we are just going to be running through. Thankfully, we got through that. And we got sniped by them. All right, now we are almost at the bottom here. I don't know why that got turned off there. All right, so we run through all these doors. And we move onward. So we're almost at the end of the game here. That was all of Chapter 13. And I'm going to do a quick save right here because there is one more trick that can give us a bit of trouble. So we do a save here. And we are going to be turning down the FPS once more. And the trick is going to be to open this elevator. And we're going to turn the FPS down to 5. It's going to take a few tries, possibly. Come on. I think I might be a bit too far back. I'm not close enough to interact with the button. Fortunately, I hit the box right there. I was a bit too close to it. I wasn't able to get out of the elevator in time. But that is why we do that save right there. All right. Turn back down to 5. Oh, that one should have worked. It's my... Let's see. This will save us time on having to do the eye poke skip. Or the eye poke machine, rather, which is not fun for people who do not like body horror. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can get it down all the way to 5. There we go. So now we fall all the way down here. And we can run forwards. We are now on top of where the eye poke machine is going on. It's actually right back there. And then by running forward, we are able to fall forwards here and hit a checkpoint, completely skipping chapter 14 and taking us to the end of chapter 15. Apologies that that skip took a bit long. All right. So now we're at the end. We hit a checkpoint, and we get to go fight Tiedemann. And then we got one more fight after that, and the end of the run will be coming up. And FYI, this could very well be a PB. I suppose we will see. It looks like I'm, behind a bit, but the last chapter is a bit hectic. It can give some troubles. All right. Unfortunately, we skipped a trigger that was supposed to load in Nicole standing here. So Isaac is looking up at nothing right now instead of looking up at Nicole. So this is what everybody else would see right now if we were standing here. So now we go into the inner reaches of our mind, where we get to go fight Nicole. And I'm going to go turn VSync on once more, which will allow us to get a very quick kill on Nicole, but also do a checkpoint restart, which allows us to skip the beginning cutscene of having to go fight Nicole in our head. So, saves us some time there. Oh, did I miss? Uh-oh, I must have missed it. I missed the quick kill on Nicole, unfortunately. All right, so just had to hit the marker a few more times, but we got there eventually in the end. All right. Yeah, it looks like this could be a PB by about 2 minutes or so. Very, very fun stuff. But beyond this, we get the false ending of, you know, Isaac dying here. But we just have to wait for Ellie to come by and pick us up on the ship. Like I said, I think everything went well for the first part. Lost a bit of time early on. I forget the trick that we lost some time. I think it was just a bad chapter 4, but all in all, I think this was very solid. With the exception of eye poke at the end, everything behaved very nicely. I think I was able to showcase all the tricks. We landed drill skip, which is the craziest skip in the game, in my opinion. So, tons of fun there. Got a very good time on this one. But like I said, I'll be putting the RTA time in the title or the description. But yeah, we just gotta wait for Ellie to pick us up. Sorry if I said Nicole. Ellie's gonna pick us up and we're gonna fly away and we're gonna live happily ever after. I believe the RTA time compared to in-game time is probably about add 4 or 5 minutes, but I suppose we'll see.
Yeah, well, here's another one. I'm crashing through the roof to get you.
Yeah, this is gonna be a PB by about another minute or so.
Yeah, well, you don't really have a say this time. Heads up.
It is possible to lose a run to this last sequence. We get to fly upwards towards the ship. We just have to dodge a few pieces of collision, a few giant rocks on the way, but thankfully it has not happened to me. But it would be the most amazing way to lose a run, I imagine. So we have to fly up right here, and time will be right when we grab Ellie's hand. All right. PB by about a minute or so. So, very nice submission PB. Will I submit this one? Who knows? But I'm submitting it for the Midspring Speedfling. So thank you very much for watching the run. Like I said, my name is Topher, or Topher Cakes. This has been Any% Dead Space 2 Casual Difficulty PC. Don't think I missed anything else. But a very, very fun run. So thank you for the consideration on that. And regardless, I hope it's going to be a very, very fun event. So anyway, if I upload this to YouTube or put this for my validation, talk to y'all later. Bye.